And thank you all for making it. And I'm gonna introduce to every startup here that's in AI or in anything that needs GPUs. Oh yeah. So we have Wei from NVIDIA, and she's one of the leaders here in the Dubai office. They're extending a lot of support to startups. They're great, and she's gonna introduce herself. And after that, we'll go with our speaker of the day with the master class. So please.
Thank you, Jamil. Nice to meet everyone here. I'm Wei. I'm the director of the startup VC and the developer relations for the Middle East and Africa region. Like Jamil said, if you're doing artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, and if you need a GPU power, NVIDIA is the place to go. In the meantime, since I have a few minutes, I would introduce NVIDIA's free offering for startups. So NVIDIA has a program called NVIDIA Inception Program. As a matter of fact, a couple of members of our Inception family are here today. Dolgikh, Override, I see Bango as well. So NVIDIA Inception Program has been around for 8 years already, but traditionally it only focused on established markets like the US, Western European region. It's an entirely free program, no strings attached. The reason we designed this program is to enable AI startups with the technology, with the GPU you need to help you grow to the next stage. So the program is entirely free. We offer 4 different pillars. First pillar is technical enablement. Once you join the Inception program, you will get exposed to the different hardware and software education that NVIDIA provides. One thing I want to mention is a lot of people think NVIDIA is a hardware company, a chip maker. That's totally wrong. NVIDIA is an accelerated platform company. On top of NVIDIA GPUs, we offer over 170 different set of libraries, frameworks, software SDKs to help you harness the best performance mileage out of the GPUs. So from there, you will be able to develop the accelerated AI applications. So to give you an example, OpenAI was a long-term NVIDIA Inception member. In the past few years, before ChatGPT release, they really grow their AI workflow with us. So that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is GPU access. We understand for young startups, GPU is not readily available. So for each Inception member, we offer up to $100,000 in cloud credits through one of the hyperscalers that give you access to GPU and the cloud credits you need to grow your workload. Third pillar is go-to-market support. So we provide co-marketing opportunities to our startups once your use cases mature to a certain level. As a matter of fact, NVIDIA is hosting an ecosystem event with the Ministry of Artificial Intelligence next week, and our CEO, Jensen Huang, will be here as well. So throughout all this go-to-market support, we really help you to grow to the next stage. Fourth pillar is VC. So in parallel to NVIDIA's Inception program, we have a program called the VC Alliance program. So through VC Alliance program, we do business matchmaking and trying to create investment opportunities to our Inception members. So for this region, we have MEVP, Flat6 Labs, Wamada Capital, ELM, and many, many other VCs as part of our VC Alliance program. So these are the 4 pillars. To quickly recap: technical enablement, GPU access, go-to-market support, and VC. I'm happy to share a link and more information about the Inception program after today's session. But for those of you who are building AI use cases, who think you can potentially leverage NVIDIA's GPU to grow your workload, Inception program is the no-brainer for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wei. So Wei is actually based in the Bay Area, but she visits here frequently. And NVIDIA is a startup that became a humongous company. I think 2 trillion market cap now. So that's some inspiration for all of us. And next we have Ahmed from In5 here, and he wants to tell you about something very interesting actually. So do you want to plug in? Plug in? Oh, okay.
Welcome everyone. My name is Ahmed. I manage In5 Tech and Science. So first, before I start, I want to thank Jamil for creating such a vibrant community here. And I always wanted to be hosted here at In5. I want In5 to be the home for 2469. How many of you know In5? Okay. All right, so just for those of you who are new to In5, we are a business incubator by T-Com Group, the developer behind Dubai Internet City, Media City, all the cities that you hear about in Dubai, most of them. Okay, we're the innovation arm for them and a business incubator under them, and we like to support startups like yourself. Here is just a small announcement of something we're doing very interesting very soon. How many of you are B2B businesses? Okay, so I can argue that B2B does better than B2C over here. Okay. So I personally believe that one of the issues in this market is that when you do B2C, the population is too small. Who agrees? Right? It's like 9 million people. And then once you find your niche, it's like 100K or something. Okay. And so I believe that most businesses should try at least to pivot into B2B and explore that area. This is why we built a B2B growth hacking bootcamp at In5. This is happening in the time between 24th to 28th of February, and I just wanted to invite everyone to join us. We will discuss things like, when you do B2C advertising for your business, just run paid ads, right? Instagram, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to do B2B, what will you do? Cold calling, okay. So then you start thinking it's not as simple, right? Because who is the right person and the right government entity and the right company to talk to? Then you have to get into LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and so many things, right? Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, so what I was saying is, this is a B2B bootcamp where we'll discuss things, how can you access your B2B audience through things like LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, how do you create the automation and workflows through CRMs, cold calls, what is the strategy? Because it's so easy to say, I'm going to access the B2B market, but the first step is always the hardest, right? You get lost on that. So we're launching this bootcamp. This bootcamp is 700 dirhams per ticket for startup. That is not from In5. If you are an In5 startup, you can avail this at 350 dirhams. Okay? So if you're interested, this is the QR code to scan. Or please feel free to talk to me after this, right? Thank you so much. Enjoy it.
Guys, I tell you, In5 is the best. Thank you, Ahmed. So, next we have Anisha, who started this masterclass program in this community. She's gonna introduce.
Okay, while we do this, I want to ask how many of you know about the masterclass program? Just a show of hands? Okay, great. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Anisha Oberoi. I'm a part of this community. It's a fantastic community to be in. And when I came to the community a few months ago, I realized that this is such star power. Everyone sitting around you, because everyone is an expert in something or the other, and what they're strong at, they're also doing in their own businesses and contributing to their own ecosystem. And then I realized this doesn't make any sense. What if we started a masterclass program so that founders and investors can engage with each other, and we can bring people that we usually only hear on stages or they're on LinkedIn. It's very difficult to have access to them, and all of us are learning. So I stubbornly created this program, and I wanted to make sure that we have some amazing people who are thought leaders in the region, who have their own startups, or people who are just starting out, just to make sure that everyone who comes to these communities on a Friday can take home something that spoke to them, or adds value to them. You make valuable connections. So I was asked about the program, so I don't usually announce what's coming up, but you can be a part of the programs to host if you would like to. But then all the classes up until April are full, because we work much in advance, because I do this pro bono and I take it really seriously. We've got personal branding and PR coming up. How to raise from VCs is coming up. Health Tech in MENA 101 is coming up. And we have an author and an executive coach who's going to be doing Mastering Brave Decision Making. And the last one in April is Bootstrapping to Exit. Now, these are all people who have taken an hour out of their time. So please book well in advance. Today is, I think, the most we've ever had for a really interesting speaker. That's why we had to move everyone outside. It's a good thing that the weather's cooperating. Before I introduce my next guest, and I'm going to pull up his intro, if you just give me a moment. Very quick introduction about myself. I have a sustainable beauty and wellness scale up that just hit 3 years, 4 months yesterday. And when I moved here, thank you. When I moved here 5 years ago, I didn't know anybody, and I didn't have this kind of community. I didn't have investors. I had no following on Instagram. I still don't. But this is very valuable for me. So I hope that every time that you come, and you don't have to come every Friday, but every time that you come, I hope that you're able to make valuable connections and learn. All right. Introducing a very special guest. As soon as Jamil lets him. Ayton owns a holding company called Dabi Holdco. He owns and operates a portfolio of 5 companies, in which most are SMEs. Mr. Ayton studies the family office segment across the Middle East and is passionate about personal brand and marketing content. A lot of people will recognize him from LinkedIn because he usually holds up a cardboard with messages on it, and I think he has a wealth of information on how to get the attention of the investors that you want. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ayton.
Thank you very much. So, thanks for all coming. It's a Friday night, and I know how valuable the weekend for a lot of people, especially this time of the year. Everybody's working hard, so I really appreciate you coming. Now, the goal of today is really, you already know who I am, is to kind of talk about money, right? Most startups, the bloodline of your business is money. It's either clients, customers that obviously pay you for your services, or it's raising investment to give you a certain roadmap ahead, the way you can grow the business and potentially spend on marketing and whatnot. Now, for me, I used to work in New York and London. Actually, this is probably the first time I've shown up in a shirt and tie for a long time, because I tried to be more in the startup community. But working with family offices, they're very traditional. Most of them worked at banks. A lot of them are very old. They don't understand what technology is or how to value it. So when I came over here in 2018, I started my own businesses and just hustled on the ground like everybody else here, trying to win business. But I really wanted to study the dynamics of the family groups here, because obviously it has a rich history of tribes where all of these family dynasties turned into these massive business conglomerates. So what I want to talk to you today is, because most startups, you have VCs, you have angel investors, and potentially you have family offices. So this is the category that I'm going to focus on. Now, the first thing I'm going to start with is family offices and family groups. Now, they're completely different. Now, let's start with the family group. So, Gargash Group, very successful, automotive,
retail, other types of businesses. Now, they're a holding company. So if you think of a group, they are, let's say Gargash, they have 15 companies, big companies, multi-million-dollar businesses, right? And they make cash. So for you as a startup going to one of these groups, they're open for business, but are they really looking to invest in a startup? Probably not, right? So they're very illiquid. What does that mean? Is they don't have a dedicated pool of money to give to a startup. So they're not prepared. So even if you have the best solution or the best product, they're not ready for you. So you could have the best conversation, be all excited, oh, I'm speaking to this very wealthy Emirati family and it's going well, but they're not ready for you. And that's what you have to understand, is the differentiation between a family group and a family office. And I'll get to family office in a minute. Heavily localized. As a family dynasty, you're very selfish. You want to grow your company, your reputation, your brand. Now, you're either part of that or you're not, right? Yes, they want to give you money to grow your business and your solution, but if you really want to go big and become successful in this part of the world, you're going to have to find a way to add value to their group. Because as a founder, you get very passionate about your businesses. I've done it for many years. And you want people to give you, their money for you to go and take over the UAE. But at the end of the day, it's a conflict of interest. They want you to join them, not them join you. So, a lot of words here, and you can I'll read through some of them. But the best way to approach some of these family holdings, as I said, they want to see money before shiny technology. So let me explain that. If you had a piece of paper where you signed an agreement with your neighbour that says that they want to buy your pet box for your cats, right? They're interested in that product and they're saying, yeah, I'll buy this is interesting, right? The family groups are more interested in that you've got the clients that will pay for the product than they are for a product that looks great and has all this AI intelligence behind it, saves all of this time and frustration for the business. They care more about the money. So that's what you have to also think about family groups. Now, I won't go through more of what the other do's and don'ts, you can read that. But the main thing for you guys need to understand with family groups is what offering do they like? Because most of you are typically looking for equity, you're looking for cash into a safe note. Problem is with family groups is they're more open to a JV. We see in this world, in the UAE, we see franchises. Every family group has taken in a US franchise, a European franchise, an Asian franchise, and they've said, give us your name and we'll roll it out across the region. And again, they will treat you as a startup exactly the same. We will take your brand in and we'll do it together, but you are now part of us. So again, that's something you have to think about. Another option was free trials, proof of concept. It's very hard to get in with these family conglomerates because you're up against Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon Web Services, all the biggest names in the world. And why should they use you as a little startup? Well, the truth is you're going to have to find a way to prove your worth. So find a little problem that you're solving within some of these big conglomerates. Really desperately try and give your free time, your attention to them. And again, I know, we're back to the drawing board where you guys need to make money as a business. Maybe you need to make hires. Maybe you just need to make money to keep surviving. It's hard to give up your time for free, especially to some of these big groups when they're doing so well. But unfortunately, it's something you're going to have to do. So again, a solution to a portfolio company, I think that's very important. They don't really look for investments. They have enough money within their corporations or holding companies. So I think a lot of the time as startups, they need to approach a lot of these family conglomerates as solutions to their problems, which then may lead to investments, right? We all want money. We all want to grow our startups. We all need marketing budgets. We all want to grow. We all want to be better than the person sitting next to us. But for a lot of these big groups, what I wanted to say is you just have to think a little bit about the approach. Psychology. So I like Paul, so don't send this to him. And I'm not, a lot of these stuff may not be relevant to Paul. So Paul works for Al Ghurair Group, very successful family conglomerate here. They're Masheret Bank and a bunch of other assets. Now, as you can see, Paul used to be a consultant, so he fits quite well into the strategy of the family conglomerate. So as a startup, if I'm coming to a family group like this, he's going to be thinking very local. He's going to be very selfish about the current portfolio that he has to look at. Looking at a startup that's thinking of moving into America, that's not his cup of tea, right? He's thinking local. So if you're a solution that can provide value to Mashreq Bank, he's listening. But if you're a B2C product that's going to take on the world, forget about it. He's not listening. So this is quite a tough statement for you guys to suck in. Protects his or her job over the upside and the return on investment. Now, in this country, we have to be quite delicate, but most of the big conglomerates, a lot of people get good salaries, they get good packages, they get their family paid for, they get their housing paid for, they get their cars paid for. So for a small startup that they're going to be in the game for the next 7 years, but then they see the next Lululemon come in that's already making money in America, very successful brand. I'm going to take Lululemon every day. Why? Because it protects my job. I'm going to look good to my chairman. I'm going to look good to my boss. So the reason why I'm telling you this, because you have to figure out ways to get through these barriers. I mean, that is a huge barrier, but at the end of the day, Paul is a lovely guy. His wife owns a restaurant. He knows all about the hustle of day to day. You have to figure out his interest and his job's interest, and you have to help him protect his job. But just investing money in a startup, he's probably not going to listen. He's a busy guy. So I just wanted to kind of get into the psychology of the family groups. So we've covered family groups, right? And again, the last thing was doesn't have a dedicated pool of capital for startups. Their job, they work within the family group. They don't work outside of it like a venture capital fund. He doesn't have money from his boss where he sits over there and he goes invests in whatever and he sends quarterly reports and says, I'm doing well, I'm making this much money. That's not how he works. He works under the umbrella. So now we move on to family offices. So if we go back, Dolgikh is the family holding and Daman is the family office of Dolgikh. Now, Daman employs bankers, guys who know how to make money. Yes. People can't hear. Okay, sorry. So thanks, Doug. So Daman Investments is the family office of Dolgikh. Now, most of the employees there are bankers. Now, their job is to make alpha and money. They don't really care much about the local interest of the country or the portfolio. They think of them as a bit of a VC fund, except they're not paid to spend money. So they're under their own time limit, but they are a separate account away from the family holding. So the family holding have made profits and they've said, right, let's employ a bunch of expensive bankers, let's sit them over there and give them some money, and their job is to make us more money. But it has no correlation to our current businesses, nothing. I don't care, right? And that's on them. If they screw up, that's on them. But at least they have the flexibility to do what they want and build out their portfolio. Now, the benefit for all of you is most of those guys are either from America, or either from Europe, India, Asia, you name it. So they're very westernized. Now, liquid, that's an obvious. They're given a bunch of money. It's like a separate bank account. So they've always got liquidity to spend. And the best approach to them is they're very money driven. And I say too, if you go down to the bottom as well, is I think the hardest part last year was everybody was looking to price their startups. Everybody. Now the worry is a lot of people actually raised money via safe notes last year. And there's going to be a big rush to price companies this year. A big rush. Now, the reason why people did so many safe notes is because you're somewhat handing a piece of paper to an investor to say, I'm making the decision for you. Here's a piece of paper which gives you the terms. It gives you an attractive discount to next year when we do price our business. Pretty good piece of paper, right? I'm making all you got to do is present that to your chairman. He either says yes or no. Very simple. So I think what we have to think about family offices is they're not the best at pricing early stage companies at all. very rare that they're going to do that. They're going to think about the downside more than they are the upside again. So this is what you have to think about family offices. They just have a different approach to VCs. Now let's go into the psychology. Rajesh. Now he looks very scary there, but he's actually like a giant teddy bear. He's the nicest guy in the world. Now all you can already see his qualifications are unbelievable. Right? Clever guy. He worked at a big Saudi family, actually not far from here. They're labelled as Rimco Investments. They're near Amazon's building, just down there. And then he worked at Morass. So a very clever guy, but a bit of an obvious banker. So this guy, again, sorry about my statement, I wrote this last night, doesn't care much about saving the world, but he does care about making money. And that's kind of the truth, right? His job is to make money for a family in Abu Dhabi. Now, he doesn't have to be involved too much with the bureaucracy of family members, chairmen getting involved. His job, they would actually take his opinion more than their own. So that's what you have to think also about family offices, is typically the investment manager you're speaking to, it's actually his opinion. Yes, he does have to get the sign-off by the investment committee, but they will value his opinion. And he's really the guy that can make the difference with the family holdings is they're so incorporated with the day-to-day family business is the family do then get involved in the decision-making process. So you normally reach a dead end with a lot of companies. So yeah, that's kind of the way I wanted to start, and just to show you a bit of differentiation. Now let's start with simplifying the search for family offices. All of you have LinkedIn. If you know of me, I'm a big active user of LinkedIn. I'm a bit annoying at times, but hey, it's something I've been consistent with, and being consistent in this world normally helps. But Saudi family in Daman, Al Quraishi. Now you can do this for a lot of families across LinkedIn. If you just search groups, enterprises, holdings, you'll come across different family names, and you can Google some of them. Now if you go into the search bar and type in the simple word venture, Quraishi have actually started to employ a team for venture. So you're starting to see now family offices across the region that are actually employing specific people who have experience in venture capital, and they're saying, right, come and work for us because we want to build out a venture capital portfolio. So I think, especially this year, because I would say 2024, 2025, everybody knows it's a great year to be on the buy side. Why? Because we're going through a financial cycle globally. So family offices are saying, okay, well, let's start employing venture capital people, because we know we want to ride this financial cycle for the next 5 to 7 years and get in some of the early potential unicorns, right? So Quraishi is one of them. They're starting to employ a venture team. Yusuf Kanu, this lovely lady, Rebecca Hall, she came from Mindship Capital, one of the first female-led venture capital funds in the Emirates. She's now running one of the biggest families in Bahrain. And then we have Dalla. Dalla I came across because I saw a PR about a food tech company raising money, and I looked at the shareholders, and then I saw Dalla, and I typed in venture, and I found this guy, Allah, and incredibly experienced. And you don't realize how much venture these guys have really done, maybe outside the family. So I'm just trying to kind of simplify the search. Is if you're doing your research, you're having a glass of wine at home at the weekend, look at some of these big conglomerate names, stick venture in, because you're seeing more and more people pop up. And these are the people that you can approach, and they get you. They get you. The Rajesh before, they don't get you. They don't get the pain that you go through. They don't know how much you're worth. They don't know the struggles. They just look at you and say, do you make money? When was your last funding round? When's your next funding round? How expensive are you going to be? That's all they care about. But these guys actually understand your pain. So that's what I was saying. The deeper search to try and find the venture people, they will understand you more and more. Now, another way of looking at it, I don't know if you all saw this the other day. Ayton just invested in an Indian electric vehicle startup. You can start guessing who were the people behind it. So, Ayton, I stuck into LinkedIn and I looked at the family office in Ayton. And this lovely lady here is quite active on LinkedIn. She's got a lot of followers. So she's quite approachable. So 9 times out of 10, I know that she's going to be behind, or she knows a lot about this deal. So what I'm trying to tell you here is look at the PR out there, because a lot of the time, like these both just said, okay, this says Fatain, but this one didn't say anything. It said family offices invested in this deal. One of the startup founders spent 10 years at Altea, and they ended up getting the money from a family office, which, again, through research, you found out that it was from Altea. Now, if you look through the investment directors, there's an 80-90% chance that that guy is going to be the one who is directing the deal. So when you see PR out there in the UAE, normally the family offices stay quite discreet. They don't disclose their names. They're not like a Sharuk or a Becca or an MEVP. They just say family offices, or even angels. They kind of consider themselves. But as I said, you just kind of have to look a bit into more of the company, because then you'll understand that this company, the reason why, if this didn't have Fatain, they actually got a massive contract with Fatain before they got the investment. So there's indicators which I wanted to try and explain. Pussycat. I've got 2 of them actually. I rescued them. They're lovely, but they dominate my life. So how to find connection with the family office. So let's go through more. I mean, the goal of today, guys, was just to try and direct you towards kind of people and show you how to identify these people. So, Ahmed, amazing guy, DIFC, Egyptian family. Adam Al-Darba's the principal. Now they're an LP in Modus Ventures. I'm sure all of you have heard Modus, based in Hub 71. And they make direct investments. Now, if you understand Ahmed, he's very much Egyptian. He likes Egyptian startups. He's very much emotional about the Middle East and the growth of venture capital here. But he went to Wharton School. Very clever boy. He studied venture capital. So he also knows what America looks like and the potential. So if you read him as a person, you understand that he knows venture capital and he likes startups that can potentially grow in America. So if you actually really look into the lives of some of these people, you understand them a lot more and more. Egyptian, studied in America, the guy knows venture capital, right? Now we go to more, again, nobody send this to Murtada, more of the grumpy version of, and the older version of Ahmed. So Murtada is an ex-banker from London, Pakistan. He works for Rival, which is based in Fujairah, royal family of Fujairah. Nobody knows about them, and I discovered him, I can't remember how. It was at an event. But he thinks like a banker again. But once I understood that he's a banker, clever guy from the University of London, he likes a certain language, which is, you know, this opportunity has a huge upside, rather than this opportunity has a huge impact in the UAE. So again, I'm going back to the psychology of just reading people's profiles and understanding how to approach him. Because I remember I pestered him for like a year on, I can't remember, I think it was an agriculture deal. As soon as I pitched a fintech deal, he wanted a meeting in DIFC the next day, right? Because all he cared about was opportunities that made money. Most of you know Sonali, lovely lady. She's very present in the event scheme. Again, Fujairah Holdings, Panthera Investments, very active in India and the UAE. Bubbly lady, big family. I've kind of kept in contact with her because I think eventually she wants to kind of probably be her own MEVP. So she's very much learning in the market, very humble person. Will open time to speak to people, to understand them. So there's not much really to say about Sonali. You can kind of, she's very present in the market. Now this guy's quite interesting. Gobash Group. Now Farhan, he typically invests in funds. Why? Because he's quite young. So he doesn't want to take the risk on investing in some early stage startup. He wants to invest in some hedge funds, some private credit funds that make money, and then maybe start investing in startups. Now, when I met him, I got to know him and I realized that his sister did a startup in the pet industry. She did pet boxes. So what did I do? I said, oh, I'll subscribe. I've got a bunch of cats. So with a lot of these people, I found a connection with them which stuck with them, which wasn't transactional. It was actually personal. So somewhat I'm investing in his sister's business. I found out that his wife is from England and we went to the same area. This guy, I understood that he was a bit grumpy, but I knew how to approach him, and I respect his time. This lady is a very familyable person. She loves just more of a social catch up away from business because it's a very corporate life. So once I started to learn more and more of these people, it was very easy to then stay in touch with them. But Ali here works for one of the biggest family offices in Abu Dhabi. But what people don't know is he runs his own angel syndicate where he'll get a deal, raise 100K, and then invest in startups because he knows his family office is so big that they don't look at startups, but he cares so much about the startup world, he goes out of his way to kind of use his brand to then raise money for startups. So I just wanted to give you an idea of kind of like the people out there, and how I've kept in contact with some of them is just very much through their work outside of stuff, because I think for startups as well, you don't really have much in common with a lot of these guys. They work for big investment companies. We don't have millions or billions or God knows what. So we have to find kind of that connection point. Now this is quite funny. I don't give up. Now this message was 21st 2022 and this reply was 13/2023. Okay, I didn't hassle him too much. I was quite respectful. But it just shows that these people are busy, right? And that picture, I've got an event coming up in 3 weeks and now he's speaking, right? Which is kind of like my trophy, my hustle to keep speaking to him and try and get hold of him. Now, a lot of us think, you know, so many people are so senior. Oh, I can't get hold of this guy. You know, he works for a $1 billion family office, or I can't get hold of this guy, he works for a sheikh's office, or this, and this. What I want to tell you is, honestly, persistence, you'll eventually catch them at the right time. I've always thought Saturday morning is great. If you've got kids, you're always up on a Saturday morning, you're looking on your phone while your kids are chucking stuff around or smearing food up the wall. My point is, these guys are going to be sitting on their phones, and if somebody says a nice little message, there's a chance that you might catch them at the right time to get their phone number or their email address. So with the bigger guys, don't think about work time. Think about outside of work time. Right? Somehow he replied at 6:30 on a Monday. I don't understand why he did that or how he did that, but he did it. And it's sad that I know that that was a Monday at 6:30. But as I said, what I wanted to show you was a year to respond, and somehow in 3 weeks he's speaking at an event of mine. And he's the CEO of Ghassan Abood, massive group in Abu Dhabi. How to build relationships with family offices, and they are not paid to spend money like VCs. No offense to VCs. I respect them, but they have a bit of a different mentality. So this, again, there's a lot of words. I'll kind of talk you through it. So the dot here, some of you may have read this online, and I love it, is the first time we meet. So I've met all of you, or a lot of you, for the first time. Now, the next time we meet, and if you are looking to impress me, it's like, I wouldn't say it's like dating, but in the startup world, you want to show progress. Because just meeting people and saying the same thing and asking for the same thing never works. So the biggest thing in this country, because we don't have a lot of startup pre-seed, seed funding, you all know it's a very small market, is people look for traction. And unfortunately, traction normally means money. Users doesn't mean money. Money means money. But the one thing outside of VCs, family office, love to see is they love to see you checking in and showing you that everything's going okay and everything's going in the right direction. So think of meeting people as a data point. So that dot there is the first time you meet. And really moving forward, the goal is to kind of, doesn't matter where it goes up or whether it goes down, as long as it's going in the right direction, 6 months, 12 months later. This is kind of what the bigger guys, so let's say Suresh, he, on the last slide, he probably saw the crazy stuff that I did on LinkedIn. Most of the corporate guys don't like, or they don't really communicate on LinkedIn because it might affect their job if I say the wrong thing. If I'm holding up a cardboard sign outside ADGM, it could be seen as a protest, right? Which is technically illegal in this country. Now, if he likes that, that technically means he's supporting it, which could get him fired. right? You have to think about these extreme situations. So he probably saw all the crazy stuff I was doing, and that's why he said, yeah, I saw that guy. I've seen him go over the last 6 weeks, or this last 6 months. Okay, yeah, I'll message him and give him my number and my email, and that's what he did. So indirectly, if you don't feel as if these people are watching, we live in an internet world. You just have to keep putting progress out there, keep putting all the positive energy out there, and eventually your goal is to kind of reach something like this. How to get noticed by a family office in a competitive environment. So all of you know me from this stuff. This was quite funny actually. So in the pandemic, I thought Dubai was a bit noisy because everybody was coming to Dubai to kind of escape the pandemic. So I went down to ADGM. I set up an office there and I thought, okay, nobody's here, it's empty. What do I do? So this cardboard was part of an Nespresso box that was in my coffee machine. I unfolded it and wrote this on it. I don't know where I came up with the idea. I was obviously listening to the song. I think it's a Jay-Z song. And I saw the square out my window and I thought, I wonder, I thought it through my head. So I took that picture. In the first 5 minutes, Abu Dhabi media office called me and said, please remove this. 10 minutes later, ADGM said, actually, can you keep it up because we want to see how this progresses. 25 minutes later, the chairman's office, his assistant messaged me and said, you have to meet the chairman tomorrow. And I said, okay. So, yeah, obviously I was quite nervous because it was first year His Excellency Ahmed Jassim Wasabi was in kind of leadership. And I went to meet him and shake him, thought, oh, this is my first ticket out of ADGM. I've only been here 4 weeks, back to Dubai, I guess, or potentially out of the UAE. And he said, continue in his own way. He said, we need more of this in the UAE. And I think that what he was trying to say was, as startups and as small people, as SMEs, we hear about this country having lots of money from dinosaur blood or oil, whatever you want to call it, right? And we kind of put this emphasis on, okay, if you've got so much money at the top, why are we at the bottom not getting any? So I kind of use this as an idea to say, hey, we're here and we're still working hard and fighting. Stop making this country so expensive, because it is. And we're here, right? Start using us. So again, I'm hosting an event in Abu Dhabi next week, and I've also learned that the population here, being the UAE, I respect them so much because it's so intimidating, all of us expats coming into a country and kind of trying to be the experts in a certain industry. We typically kind of overlook kind of the local population. So my attitude was, I kind of flipped it on his head and said, for a lot of startups, we have to figure out how to bring a lot of the local population with us for this journey. So again, what I'm trying to do now is tell the government and the local ecosystem that I think everyone here is 21 years old, and I'm trying to give them a platform where they can have a voice to say, I'm in engineering, I'm in agriculture, I'm in engineering, and I'm clever and I want to end up in America. So I guess all of this is kind of what I'm trying to say is, you have to figure out your own way of getting yourself noticed. And obviously this was borderline in Islamic law, could be seen as illegal, but it's not. But you have to, my point is, there's other ways to try and get yourself noticed. And here's a good example. This was in the pandemic, I think 11 views on YouTube, and then was it a year and a half later, maybe 5Ks on YouTube. So again, it's like you can tell why we're all sitting here today and why I guess I've worked so hard on my LinkedIn profile is purely because I just didn't give up and I just kept pursuing. Now this is the cool stuff, kind of the things I want to end on. Free homework, which is kind of freebies to the people I think who've got money for startups after my research. So Etihad Investments, they're based in Abu Dhabi. they're making a big push into venture, but you need to convince them to spend their money, which is great because there's not a huge line of people asking for their money like Becker Capital or MEVP. So organically you can approach some of these guys, because I'm not saying they're not busy, but they're definitely open to new ideas. Now, a recent press release, it was in June 2023 last year. I'd never even heard of Etihad Ventures Holding. Have any of you heard of that?
No.
Exactly. But they're the VC arm of Etihad International. Now, until I read that one press release, I didn't even know that these guys did VC. They own industrials, paper mills, all the big kind of ugly industrial stuff. But apparently they're making a big push into venture, right? So sometimes these big conglomerates, even if they're not in venture, a lot of the time they bury them. So Hasib, is that his name? I've never met him, but he looks nice. Harriet, here's another example. You get this a lot on LinkedIn. Private family office. So Harriet's a lovely lady, and I looked into her background in fintech. And how I approached Harriet was, I was really interested in her previous role because I built a software in the accounting space, and it was something to do with asset management and digital transformation. So we connected, basically speaking about her previous role. Obviously, me being me, I was more focused on this. I wanted to know what this was because it's private. It's kind of like my thing I want to know. So I found out she works for a Chinese family office. Now, reach out to her. She's hugely active now in early stage VC. It's Chinese money that's recently set up in DIFC. It's a trust in a foundation. As I said, fintech, wealth tech. Okay, she's a bit of a fintech person, but I'm just saying she's brand new, only been there a year, and she's open for business. Now, these guys I'd never heard of. Came across them 2 weeks ago. $5 billion family office, and they've just moved from London to the UAE. And London is kind of like the hub of angel investment, early stage. They're very much into early stage investment, and these guys have a huge portfolio of investing in UK companies. Just moved to Dubai. So you're going to start seeing more of this, given geopolitics and a lot of issues in the world. More and more companies from New York, London are kind of heading this way. And the reason is because they're fed up with the rest of the world and they see this place as a new land of hope. Bjorn. So NNS is a family office of Nasser, Egyptian guy. They actually own Aston Villa Football Club. They're moving to Dubai as well. Now, these guys are probably one of the most prominent investors in early stage investment across Egypt. They're moving to Dubai. Why? Again, because a lot of people see this place as a safe place and the new vibrant place to kind of have your operations. So what I'm trying to sell you with is there's so many indicators of all these big groups from around the world coming here, and before the line gets long, there's a chance for you to get in there first if you think you have the potential opportunity. This is what I'm trying to point out. But I can't keep going like this tonight. There's probably loads of opportunities. But I think that to summarize, guys, is the family office community can be split into many different ways. But I think for startups, you have to think business first than money. So you have to think about how can I get their product in their hand? Because it's like, I remember watching the Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett. He said in one of his podcasts, there's an instant tap that does boiling water. It's called the cooker. Literally, you turn it and it's boiling water. You have to put a kettle down. It costs like $2,000. Extreme price when a kettle costs like $30. But once you get that product and you're so used to it, you'll never go back. You'll always use that product. So I feel as if in the family office community, it's like, how do you get your product in there for them to go, oh wow, this is saving us a lot of time, or oh wow, this has potential. We could even sell this to all the other family conglomerates over here. Let's work together. So I think a lot of the time, don't go in with the, oh, we need pre-seed investment, or we're raising a safe note. You should just think business, and it will go a lot further, as well as looking behind the group and look at the people, because the people at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to be taking a risk on you with their job. right? That's the key. Their job, they're the one, if they invest in you, they're the one believing in you, not the chairman, them. So you've got to work with them to go to the chairman to get this signed off. So if you don't align with them as a person, it's never going to work. But appreciate your time, guys. I'm going to stay here all night and happy to speak to all of you.
Thank you, Obi. We're going to have about 15-20 minutes of questions now, and then we'll put together a panel where we'll have reflections of this and everyone can share their experiences. We have 2 mics to go around, so please be patient. And my request is to just keep your questions short and just ask one question, maybe per person. All these slides are going to be sent on the group, so I know people were taking pictures, but you'll get all of this as well as a certificate. And those of you who have not RSVP'd on the RSVP app, there's Queenie here. Please do make sure that you do that, because otherwise you won't be updated of all the events that we're having for the community. Whoever has questions, if you can come out here in the front and keep the mic close to yourselves, then that would be great, because we've got people at the back.
Hello. Hi, Bobby. Boss, thank you very much. Quick question. How your day looks in a day-to-day family office working? I don't know what title it is, but what does it mean for you? What do you do daily with the family offices? Like, how does it look? What you do? Yeah.
Okay, so I would say I'm an aspirational family group. I'm starting from the bottom and organically growing. So I think what you're asking is like, what's my mission of like trying to suss out all the family offices? I guess we're in a generational shift here where I would say we're 10 years out of the generation that pick up the phone and can call the big boss and get things done. Now, the next generation is completely different. They're very much westernized. Inheritance, there's a lot of separation. So like brothers want to do different things. So the reason why I'm so fascinated in it is because I think we're here at the right time where, 80% of this country is run off all these family conglomerates, and with the differentiation of grandfather now passing down his wealth, all of these different families, which are big in this part of the world, have different interests. So there's a chance for all of us in kind of the startup world to really latch on to some of these family members. Like you have young ladies who are now front running sustainability in Abu Dhabi. They have their own startups in agriculture. So my point is my day to day, I look after my own companies, but outside of that, I research all the bigger ones because I learn so much from them. I learn how they operate, I learn how they make money, I learn how they're transitioning, and all that type of stuff. And I kind of relay that online. It's kind of like that's how I vent. I kind of look at it and then I kind of put it out on the internet and say, oh, this is what I've learned this week. But how I don't monetize it or do anything with it, I just study it. Do I want to do something with it in the future? Maybe.
One, two, three, yeah. Sorry, I think the question was, what is your business? Like, because you do extraordinary things here.
Yeah.
You showed amazing skills and everything. Now you said that you are learning there, but what is it?
Right, so my business, yeah. So,
was that a question?
Yeah. So, the reason why I avoid that is because it's more about you guys. I don't want to sit here and self-promote, right? In 2018, I came here. Everybody started calling me Obediah, which was weird for me, being from England. And I found out I had a very distant old Arabic name. But moving on from that, I sat in a long stay hotel and I built an accounting company and an accounting software, which I started to sell to this market, literally from a computer in a long stay hotel in Sheikh Zayed Road. I then set up a events company. I then set up a marketing company, and it was a bad New Year's resolution, so every year I set up a new company, and it became a lot, but realized that a lot of these cross-sell. And the reason why I built the network, started researching, because obviously these guys I potentially want to be my clients, not them, but their portfolio companies. So that's why I was learning so much about them. So today, what do I have? I have 5 different companies. Last year, when I made my first bit of profit across the portfolio, I invested in 2 startups, one a fintech and one an agriculture company. So it's my first kind of tick in the box to be an angel investor, which I always dreamed of doing. So supposedly, yes, I have 5 companies. I have 3 investments, and I have some money in some public trading strategies as well, because I don't know what to do there. I just give it to somebody else to handle. But that's me. I have a holding company, and obviously I build the brand online because the brand brings the business to the companies.
Thank you for your speech. My name is Tina, and I live in Russia. I've been helping startups in Russia, get invested for 3 years. Now I have my own fintech project, and I want a world-class one. If my project is from Russia, how I can cooperate with you if are ready to move? Do you conduct pitch for projects in Russia?
So you've got a company in Russia, and you're looking to raise money here?
We team in Russia. We ready to move to all locations, to Dubai or in the USA, but we don't know how.
How? So I would say, if we look at what the big guys are doing, so yesterday, Obadiah, one of the biggest sovereign wealth funds on the planet, said, enough's enough. We're only going to invest in funds that are established in ADGM. We had this massive announcement on Bloomberg. They basically said, we don't need to invest in the rest of the world while it's falling apart geopolitically. If you want our money, you have to come here. It's kind of like you want a pot of gold? It's there. You've got to come get it. So my point is, with it doesn't matter where you're coming from Russia, it's this form of localization. How do you, rather than this place, because it is tough, because it is expensive, right? I have 7 licenses that I have to pay annually, worth a fortune, right? But my point is, you have to somehow localize yourself to the point where you've really got your business here. You're not just all talk saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. What I showed you earlier is more about showing. It's a real show me type of country where you have to say, this is what we've done. We've brought our products and services here, we've brought some people here, and we're ready to provide a service. And it's the same with any investment and startup here. If you're kind of half in, half out, you've got to kind of make a commitment to be here, because you're going up against so many different people now. Some of the best companies in the world are coming to the UAE, competing with you. I think your best chance to be ahead of them is by being so local, showing that you're really providing a service, looking that you're here for the long term. So I don't know the magic answer to what should you do if you're coming from Russia, but all I can say is the key word is just somehow localizing the business as best as possible.
Thank you.
Sorry, question. Thank you. Thank you so much for presenting the information. It was very valuable, and I will do my best and try to approach all these gentlemen to help me with my startup. My question is, in the field, what is your motivation to stand here today and to speak to this community, which is of value to the region? So my question is, what do you see value from the community, not from you, get back from the community?
Yeah, no,
thank you.
It's good. Well, I guess if I was giving and expecting you guys to give me something back, that's trading. It's not really like, I'm not giving you anything, I'm expecting something in return. So I started here myself, as I told you. It's not a sob story, but I sat in a really disgusting hotel on Sheikh Zayed Road, which was like 40 years old. and built a company. So I know the hustle, and I knew nobody, zero, and communities like this mean a lot. So my efforts was growing this. It's kind of like I also want everybody to come with me, because it's like my companies are still not that big, right? And what I learn is kind of I want to portray to you guys, because it's so small here. You bump into people everywhere, and I would like to say that obviously for me, yes, selfishly, I want to kind of increase the exposure of my voice, because yes, of course, it benefits my businesses, right? We're all in business to make money. But my point is, the reason why I wanted to kind of come here tonight is because I know how hard that community is. They're all in shirts and ties, and they're all playing the big game. They've all got big fat salaries and drive G-Wagons and live on Saadiyat Beach, right? But we took the risk on having our own time, doing what we want, sitting in here on a laptop, having the flexibility. So I would say the reason why I'm here tonight is to kind of say that it is possible. They don't live in a different world. They are real people, and I've kind of experienced that firsthand.
Thank you so much. Just small add-on. We just looking for the win-win. I mean, as a from startup point of view, we are looking to build a more powerful community. With your help, with our help, to build to make it win-win for both sides. Thank you so much.
One more question. Thank you for the presentation. It was amazing. And my question is, let's say all the data points are positive in terms of traction, in terms of business model and all that. How much time it takes to raise the money from the family offices? As usual, like what is the turnaround time?
6 months, minimum. Because if you have to think of it this way, it's about you working with the investment manager to present it to the boss. So you have to build a case. It's like going to court. Imagine if you're going to jail and you've got to build a case with a lawyer. That's the time it takes, because you've got to build a case to say, here's the financials. Now we ran into an instance last year with an amazing agriculture startup here. They're called Fresh on Table. They're based in Al Quoz. $4.5 million of revenue in 2022. I don't know what they did last year. Probably bad. I should know. And they were close to being break even. Right? Very successful. Hilton is their biggest client, exclusive for the whole country. Now the issue we ran into was they were trying to get money from an investment firm called E20. E20 is a big agricultural investment firm in Abu Dhabi. Now, his attitude is your financials are not audited by an impressive accounting company, a name that my chairman won't know. So we had to go to, I think we went to Moore Stevens, which is like number 9. Very expensive. It was like 45,000 dirhams for an audit, just to impress the investment manager. That process took 7 or 8 weeks just for the audit. So that's, again, it's different to VC, because you have to go through all of these downside protections. So if you're not at that point, no matter how impressive you are, just always think about the downside. The brands that you're with, the audit company that's just done the audit on you, your previous round. If you're doing if you're not doing a safe note and you're pricing yourself, that's going to take a while, because they're going to have to ask for references. They're going to have to do a bit of market surveillance to see really how much you're worth, look at your competitors. But honestly, 6-9 months, because they're not, remember, they don't get paid to spend money like VCs. VCs want to spend money, because that's how they get their salary.
Yeah, we can do a couple more questions and then we can do the panel. Yeah?
Thanks for the presentation. Just a quick question out of your experience with a lot of, I would say, local families, investors. How is the negotiation on equity goes? Is it risky? What we have heard, some of the family business owners, you can't play around with them. eventually they will own the business, whether you own 10% or 20% or 90%. Have you experienced any similar situations?
It's times are changing. I mean, when I first came here, I could only own 49% of my own company, right, as a DED onshore company. That was in 2018, and the law changed in 2020. So the mentality is changing a bit. But to your point is, remember the guys I showed that had a VC team? They understand what being part of a cap table means, right? The traditional family holdings, they only know ownership. That's all they know. They only know a big American brand like Chuck E. Cheese or Applebee's coming in and saying, yeah, okay, we'll own you and we'll distribute you, but we own the brand for this country. That's how they, to the holding level, that's how they think, right? But the teams that actually have venture people, they know the value of riding a cap table to the point of liquidity. So again, it comes down to how these groups are structured. If you go to, there's a family in Dubai called Al Abwadi. They own Spinneys. We've all been to Spinneys and Waitrose, right? If you went to them and said, I'm raising money for my startup, they would only know how to buy you. So they would offer you, okay, let's do a JV and I own 51%. And obviously you're going to go, no chance. But you have to look at the person you're talking to. But then if you went to a Canoe who's just hired this lovely lady who understands venture, yeah, she knows the venture game. So I think that model is dying off, but we have to just have more of these kind of like sophisticated families kind of employ better people. But if you want to go to the more traditional guys, they have money and the line is very small. You can speak to the chairman and have a 3-hour meeting tomorrow. But to get what you want is next to impossible.
Hi. With all the institutions and families which were for so many years LPs and now they set up their own investment shop directly, what do you personally see the role of a VC, or are they going to just vanish away? What's the evolution there?
VCs will always be there. Why? Because, as I told you, if I'm a family office manager and I'm building a portfolio, I'm going to be exposed to fixed income and bonds. At the moment, I'm going to have a huge credit exposure. Private equity is very, very good at the moment because I'm going to get some great discounts. And then you're going to have public equity exposure, and then you're going to have real estate, maybe some gold and commodities. VC is there, still quite small, because it's high risk, right? It might be 7%, it might be 15%, it might be 25% if you're savvy, right? But I want to offload my risk, right? There's a family in Dubai, Al Mullah Capital. Obaid and Mohammed Al Mullah, they own all the hospitals you can imagine. American hospital, very successful family. And the family office is 3 people. They can't make direct investments. Are you joking? They don't. They can't make a decision amongst themselves. So they want to give. So they're big investors in all the VC funds in Dubai. Here, you take the money, you take your management fee, and the risk is now on you. So if you think of this country, still, and it's not just this country, I say this country a lot, how it means is most family offices traditionally only invest in funds. They don't make direct investments. But we're seeing some that can now. But they will if you sit there and convince them. Like if you played golf with one of the senior managers and you really built a long-term relationship with him, he'll find a way to give you money. Or if you went to him and said, try my solution, and your solution just wowed them, they'll give you money. They'll find a way. And that's not the problem. So I think back to your point is there will always be a case for VCs, because as an in-house, if I like in the future, if I'm as big as one of them, a load of VC guys, let's say I employ 5, their salaries is going to be more than paying a 2% management fee on my money. Again, it's all about money. So there will always be a use case for VCs, and plus they have the expertise.
And the last question here. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm your loyal follower in LinkedIn. Thank you for all you've done for the community. If I'm not wrong, most of us are from Dubai, and for me, you've been always like representative of Abu Dhabi. Yeah, and we really use that different family offices, even from US and from UK, open offices in ADGM. Like you've met Sam Altman, you've met Michael Bloomberg, Ray Dalio, and all these people from Silicon Valley and so on. So could you please tell us a bit about these American funds, VCs and professionals, and how does Abu Dhabi develops in this way? Thank you.
So I live in Dubai. The reason why I like Abu Dhabi, and I do have an office there, and I spend a couple of days a week there. Don't get me wrong. I saw it as more of a challenge because it's not Dubai. Abu Dhabi is behind in terms of entrepreneurship. It's very much ahead in other sectors, right? But in startup entrepreneurship, energy, Abu Dhabi's behind. So that's why I saw it as a challenge. That's why I wanted to kind of promote and push Abu Dhabi harder to get the little man's voice heard by the big guys, right? Dubai, very noisy. I said that in, somebody said it the other day. Dubai's very noisy. Like Sheikh Zayed Road's full of different companies trying to promote their B2C companies, right? So, Ray Dalio is irrelevant in your life. He invests in hedge funds. He invests in all the big stuff. So forget about him. Sam Altman, forget about him. So, yes, loads of big names are going there. Why? There's this lovely thing that's coming next year for all of us. No matter if you're in a free zone or an onshore, it's called corporation tax. Now, for us as entrepreneurs, we're not employees, we have to look at corporation tax as a benefit. Why? Because when we get to the diligence points of investment discussions, diligence is going to be a lot easier when you've been reporting to the Federal Tax Authority, number one. Number two is foreign direct investment will become easier. For you as a startup here, no other country looks at investing you here. Doesn't that suck? It literally sucks, right? You're in Dubai, but no New York firm knocks on your door and goes, well, actually, let's have a look at you. They don't even look at us. But everybody looks at what they're doing in New York or in London. But why does nobody look here when we've got all this attention? Why? Because nobody's disclosed their books to the regulator. So if you think it's the 28th of February next year, which is the tax deadline for all of you, so be careful, the whole country would have disclosed their books for the first time ever. So from a foreign direct investment standpoint, from America, this country now looks pretty good. So all I'm saying is if you be patient over the next couple of years, you're going to see more foreign direct investment from VCs because they will start looking at this place as a trusted, regulated market. And what have we been speaking about all night? It's all about job protection, right? So if I'm investing from London in the Middle East and I know that everyone's submitted their books, okay, that's a safe investment. So if the investment goes down, I can look at it and go, good audit, regulated, all this type of stuff. I'm okay. Yeah, my job's safe.
Thank you.
Obediah.
Thank you.
Obediah.
Obadiah.
Obadiah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Obadiah.
man.